It's time to put the good in your morning. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, an article of impeachment against former President Trump will arrive at the Senate.
Thunderstorm activity already leading to flooding woes across the 4 states. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And the Chiefs are headed back to the Super Bowl. We'll look back at last night's AFC Championship game. KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 starts now. Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. This evening, for the second time, an article of impeachment against former President Donald Trump will be delivered to the Senate. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the Senate trial will not start until the week of February 8th. Former President Trump was impeached on an incitement of insurrection charge after the Capitol Hill riot on January 6th. In order to convict former President Trump, all 50 Democratic senators would need to vote in favor, and 17 Republicans would have to cross the aisle. Former White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders appears poised for a gubernatorial run in Arkansas. A source with knowledge of the situation says she is expected to make that announcement today. Sanders served under former President Donald Trump. The current Arkansas governor, Asa Hutchinson, is reaching his term limit. According to Johns Hopkins University, there have been more than 25 million cases of coronavirus in the U.S. and at least 419,000 deaths. The university recorded the first case of coronavirus in the United States on January 21st, 2020. Johns Hopkins says there are 17 other countries in the world that have reported more than 1 million total COVID-19 cases. That includes India with over 10 million total cases and Brazil reporting more than 8 million cases. UK has had over 3.5 million total cases. White House officials confirmed to CBS News that President Biden is expected to announce, possibly as early as today, a ban on most non-U.S. citizens entering the country who have recently been in South Africa. The president's also expected to reimpose an entry ban on nearly all non-U.S. travelers who've been in Brazil, the United Kingdom, Ireland, and 26 countries in Europe. 3 are dead following a head-on collision in Lawrence County, Missouri last night. Missouri Highway Patrol says it happened a little after 9 on I-44, about 5 miles east of Mount Vernon. 85-year-old Everett Hare of Billings, Missouri was heading east in the westbound lane when he struck a car head-on. Occupants of that car included 17-year-olds Isaac Fudge and Nevaeh Ost, both of Mount Vernon. All 3 were pronounced dead at the scene. Fire broke out near downtown Joplin on Saturday. The fire started in a commercial building in the 400 block of East 8th Street. Officials with the Joplin Police Department say there were no injuries. The Joplin Fire Department, Police Department, and METS all responded to the scene. New research suggests people living in areas with fewer pharmacies could have a harder time getting coronavirus vaccines. Research by GoodRx suggests they could face longer waits for appointments, causing a disparity between access in rural and urban areas. Wilson County, Kansas has only 2 pharmacies, one in Neodesha and one in Fredonia. The health department is in Fredonia, and the 2 hospitals in the county are in the 2 cities as well. But the county health officer says she feels good about vaccine distribution even once everyone is eligible for a vaccine.
If we had enough to vaccinate everybody, I think we could do it. You know, I really believe that we have the manpower, we have the desire, and we have the hardworking people to be able to say, I will work all day and night and weekends to get everybody vaccinated who wants to be vaccinated.
Officials in Wilson County tell us since there are no Walgreens pharmacies in the county, their long-term care facilities are still waiting to get vaccines. Riggs Chiropractic in Riverton are taking some time Saturday to honor those on the front lines of the COVID-19 pandemic. Frontline workers were invited to what Riggs called Lovin' on Frontline Workers. There was a breakfast bar, spinal screening, spine classes, and something all could enjoy, massages. Riggs says this is just their own way of giving back to those giving so much.
We love it. We just appreciate what they do every day so much, and so we just want to love on them a little bit.
Mental health screenings were also offered at this weekend's event. As the coronavirus continues to spread across the globe, forcing theaters to remain closed, a group of performers in the Czech Republic have come up with a creative way to perform. Circus troupe started to put on shows from inside the windows of stores that have been forced to close due to COVID-19 restrictions. The Cirque La Puccia performers are trying to stay afloat by taking donations from passerbys, as well as online donations through their website. Before COVID lockdown forced their doors to shut, 82% of revenue for Cirque La Puccia came from ticket sales.
That's a cool idea.
That'd be really fun to watch.
Yeah. Hey, imagine walking down the street and you're with the kids or something, you run into that. I think that'd be pretty neat right there. They'd get a kick out of that. All right, Tanya, we got updated storm report here. I want to first off just start talking about the rain and the lightning because we're seeing the reemergence of our lightning strikes, especially just south of I-44 right here. Now I'm going to transition real fast because this one just came in and we have a road closure now. What we'll do is pop open the icon. You'll notice it right down there in Berry County. This is going to be in the city of McDowell. We've got Highway CC now closed at the Flat Creek Low Water Crossings. Once again, please note, Highway CC, it is closed at the Flat Creek Water Crossing, and certainly no surprise that that would be part of our flash flood warning that we have lasting all the way until 9:30. And it's not just going to be old CC, it's going to be a number of low water crossings in not only the lime green area, that's a flash flood warning, but then the dark green indicating flash flood watches. So remember, the warning means it's imminent, it's happening right now. But we're not done with our rain throughout southwest Missouri, and so that's why that watch remains in effect all the way until the noon hour. From the Freeman Health System sky camera, a little bit chill in the air simply because east-northeast wind coming in about 12 miles per hour. We're seeing the wind arrows kind of pick up here, speed through. 47 in Lamar, 42 in Parsons, and 39 in Fort Scott. So our temperatures have been a little widespread this morning, and now we're picking up 22-mile-an-hour winds, not gusts. Those are sustained winds in Nevada and Chanute. It's kind of interesting as far as where that low pressure system is. We look for that swirl right there, and you'll notice even though the wind moves from east to west, the rain moves from west to east. Part of an expansive system right here that runs from the Rockies all the way to the mid-Atlantic, and we actually got caught in some of the hardest rain that this thing was able to throw down from last night into this morning. Now, as it becomes a scattered variety, really after the noon hour, we get a little peak of sunshine there before we close out Monday, but we've got colder temperatures on the backside. So Tuesday, only a high of only 41, even with partly sunny skies. The cold front continues in, and so that next batch of moisture that presents itself middle of the week can bring us a little snow on Wednesday. Tanya?
Up next, why health officials are facing COVID vaccine shortages nationwide, and we'll tell you who Vegas has its money on to win the Super Bowl. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Millions of people across the country are lining up to get the coronavirus vaccine, but as Polo Sandoval reports, all those vaccinations are outpacing supplies.
Though only half of the roughly 41 million COVID-19 vaccines distributed have actually been administered, the head of the National Institutes of Health says he's seeing progress.
It's not as bad as some people are painting it. We are now averaging almost 1 million doses per day going into arms, and that's a pretty good trajectory.
At that rate, President Joe Biden appears to be on course to meet his target, at least for now. This despite not inheriting a vaccine distribution plan from the Trump administration, according to White House senior advisor Cedric Richmond.
We're going to get it done. We're going to hit our goal of 100 million doses within the first 100 days. And look, we're not making excuses.
But the rest of those 100 days won't be easy for President Biden, with demand greatly outpacing vaccination supplies across the country. New York State administered nearly all the doses it received during the first 6 weeks of vaccine rollouts. Another allotment of about 250,000 doses will be delivered this week, but New York City's mayor says they're ready to take on more.
The places that can do it fastest really need to get the ball quickly. We need the supply because we can get it into arms, but it's just not there for us.
And where there's supply, there's a wait.
The line was long, and I waited an hour and a half, but, you know, that's okay. If you really want to get this, you'll wait.
Lines continue snaking around Dodger Stadium, which is serving as a drive-through vaccination center. The death toll, which remains alarmingly high, is being particularly felt in the state of Georgia.
We are dealing with the increasing number of deaths. Our system normally deals with less than 10 deaths per month, and we have already had 169 deaths as of January 21st.
In some rare good news, nationwide hospitalization numbers dipped slightly Saturday night to levels not seen since before Christmas.
A Kaiser Family Foundation poll finds just 29% of Americans think the federal government has done an excellent or good job distributing the COVID-19 vaccine to states so far. Crawford County commissioners had a work session with county health officials to discuss vaccination efforts. Officials say around 2,600 in the county have been vaccinated so far, with about 300 being administered per week. The county had to pause signups because around 2,000 people are already on a waiting list.
I would say to be where we're at is a remarkable feat, and so we all want this faster, and we will give it as fast as we get it.
The state is currently in phase 2 of its distribution plan, and the county hopes to be in phase 5 by June. It's one of the most adorable videos ever. A baby panda clings to a zookeeper's leg and refuses to let go. This is Fu Bao, a 6-month-old giant panda, and she lives at the Everland Zoo in South Korea. Has clearly developed quite an attachment to her caretakers. Aww, the zoo has released this video showing her clinging to the zookeeper's leg. Even when he pries her off, she still tries to hang on. Fu Bao is something of a celebrity, as she's been the first giant panda born in South Korea. Her parents were a gift from China in 2016 as a part of China's so-called panda diplomacy, meant to help with relations between the two countries.
I love how the zookeeper, probably because he has to, he's probably around her every day and whatnot. It almost looks a tad bit exasperated while trying to get the chores done and everything cleaned up. He's like, "Give me 5 minutes here, kid. Give me 5 minutes.
I'll play with you, but I got to get my chores done first."
That's great.
Such a cute little bear.
That's hard video to beat. I needed that this morning, to be honest with you. All right, Tanya, Freeman Hill System sky camera in Joplin. Earlier this morning, rain was coming down so hard we couldn't even get a view of it. And we've been able to kind of calm down a little bit as we sit at 46 degrees. Temperatures ranging from the 30s into the low 40s there. But the important thing is our thunderstorm activity that we've got working on this Monday morning. To give you an idea of exactly how it originated and how it's rolling through. More importantly, let's talk warnings and watches. Done a good job breaking up. Still got heavy cloud cover on the backside of it. But thunderstorm activity for the most part will turn into scattered rain. Really want to concentrate on our eastern counties here in southwest Missouri because we're still getting lightning right along I-44 and we've got a flash flood warning. And that's the lime green that you see. Now, right smack dab in the middle of the flash flood warning, Highway CC closed at the Flat Creek low water crossing. And that's because of the flash flooding right there. And hey, we're going to pass these storm reports on as fast as we can get them from our Department of Transportation. Not going to be surprised if there's not additional road closings that are already taking effect. And remember, the rain in this area not quite done as of yet. And that's why we've got a flash flood watch for the counties in the darker green. Imminent flooding in the light green, and one of those things where you go, and don't be surprised if you run into it in the darker green. That area right there on Highway CC is close to 3 inches of rain. You can tell just kind of that outer pattern from last night into this morning. That is around that 2.5 to 3 inch area. Now, 7-day forecast, we'll turn this into scattered showers this afternoon, and we'll even get a little peek of sunshine here before Monday's all said and done. Tuesday's going to be cool. Front moves in, but no precipitation to worry about. That changes on Wednesday because we even get cooler. We're going to top out in the mid-30s right there. It's going to even bring us some snow. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Chiefs fans!
Kansas City Chiefs AFC champions. Chief Kingdom celebrating as KC heads to Super Bowl 55 in Tampa Bay to play the Buccaneers. This just caught my attention here on the KOAM News Now Facebook page. Doesn't that remind you of the Super Bowl 54 logo? Because they put the Lombardi trophy in between the 50 and the 5. And so, at first instance, I looked at that. I went, "Wait a second!" But yeah, that's the right one. I didn't realize that last year it was L Lombardi Trophy IV. I just missed that. All right, Kansas City's second consecutive Super Bowl appearance as they rolled over the Buffalo Bills 38-24 in last night's AFC Championship game. Tight end Travis Kelce, 13 catches, ties a playoff record for most catches by a tight end. 118 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill, 9 passes. He picked up 172 yards. And some guy named Patrick Mahomes, he completes 29 of 38 passes, 325 yards, and 3 touchdowns, less than 48 hours of coming off of a concussion protocol. Mahomes says he's excited to take on one of the greatest in the championship game.
Yeah, I mean, the Super Bowl is the Super Bowl. Being able to go up against one of the greatest, if not the greatest quarterback of all time in his 150th Super Bowl, I mean, it's going to be a great experience for me. I mean, to go out there and have a chance to repeat and get to do it against the best. I mean, it's something special, and I'm excited for the opportunity.
Academy Sports and Outdoors in Joplin was prepared for a Chiefs victory as the store received their AFC Championship merchandise on Friday. That gear included shirts, hats, novelty items. Store started selling the gear as soon as the Chiefs clinched another trip to the Super Bowl. Speaking of another trip to the Super Bowl, Buccaneers played the Packers in the NFC Championship game yesterday. Tom Brady and the Bucs hold off Aaron Rodgers and the Pack for a 31-26 victory. That puts Tom Brady in another Super Bowl, creates a unique situation. He gets to play a home game, in a sense, for Tampa Bay. Now, that's never happened before in Super Bowl history. This will be Tom Brady's 10th Super Bowl appearance.
You know, love coming to work every day with this group of guys, and they've worked really hard to get to this point. And it's a tough game. I've had a few tough games in a row, and the next one will be really tough too. But we know what we're playing for, and we got 2 weeks to prepare. It's going to be a great opponent, and be really exciting couple weeks for us.
I want to transition back to the Chiefs real fast because KC's mayor probably feeling pretty good after making a friendly wager with the mayor of Buffalo. Now, ahead of the AFC Championship matchup between the Chiefs and Bills, KC Mayor Quentin Lucas put some of the city's famous barbecue on the line from Gates Barbecue. Chiefs came out on top. Buffalo was to send over, well, you guessed it, buffalo wings.
One thing you will never say about Buffalo or Kansas City is that our fans are bandwagon people. We have been there through thick and thin. And for Kansas City, as a kid who grew up when I did, we went through a whole lot of years and no playoff wins. We went through some tough teams, some 2-14 seasons not that long ago. And so that's why I'm so excited. So I really like to celebrate how strong and how good of fans we are.
Mayor Lucas says he plans to donate the prize to healthcare workers. Now, speaking of betting, if you're planning on putting some money on Super Bowl 55, you might want to throw your lot in with the Chiefs. That's because, according to Vegas, I'll use William Hill as my example. Chiefs are 3-point favorites over the Buccaneers. Total points in the game right now, 56.5. With a hook, you can catch Super Bowl February 7th on 5:30. That will be on our sister station, KOAM. Feel free to take part in our KOAM News Now Facebook page or our morning Insta poll, KOAMNewsNow.com/vote. Be right back after this.
It's time to honor today's 4-state heroes. Specialist Gary Dixon served in the United States Army from 1968 to 1969. He fought in Vietnam as a surgical specialist and received the Cross of Gallantry. His hometown, Fort Scott, Kansas. We are proud to salute Gary Dixon, our 4-state hero. Newton County is one step closer to achieving greater literacy with the assistance of a federal grant. KOAM's Kate Kelly tells us more about why the Comprehensive Literacy State Development Program is a big win for both the Neosho and Diamond school districts.
As a longtime educator, Cindy Sprague says she knows the importance of literacy as the building blocks for education. That's why she's excited about the Comprehensive Literacy State Development Program.
I started Diamond 16 years ago as a third grade classroom teacher. And when I began, we were doing the Missouri Reading Initiative, MRI. And since then, we've kind of gotten away from it and have gone into other curriculums. But with this, I think this will get us back on focus where we want to go and will be best for our students.
The purpose of our grant is to train educators, and not only teachers, but pulling administrative level personnel from the schools and the local education agencies into this training as well, because there needs to be that administrative support for these schools and for these students.
The federal grant was awarded to 11 states. Missouri secured $18 million, and that money is being divided up to promote literacy across different geographic regions, including rural communities like Diamond and Neosho.
40% of that has to go toward elementary, 40% secondary, 15% goes toward early learning, and the remaining 5% goes to higher education and administrative costs here at the Missouri Department of Education.
Both Sprague and Scroggs say literacy training goes a long way towards a student's success throughout their learning journey.
We have been lucky and fortunate enough to receive the grant in all 3 buildings. So with this will allow us to have a literacy plan, create a literacy plan for K through 12 all the way through for us.
In Diamond, Kate Kelly, KOAM News.
Neosho has earned the grant for secondary services. The goal for both Neosho and Diamond schools is to prevent students from falling behind in subjects due to a lack of literacy skills. Well, another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, broadcast legend Larry King passed away over the weekend. We're going to take a look back at his career and his legacy, and why another proposed stimulus is hitting a roadblock in Congress. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:31. Let's take a look at today's top stories. 3 are dead following a head-on collision in Lawrence County, Missouri last night. Missouri Highway Patrol says it happened a little after 9 on I-44, about 5 miles east of Mount Vernon. 85-year-old Everett Hare of Billings, Missouri was heading east in the westbound lane when he struck a car head-on. The occupants of that car included 17-year-olds Isaac Fudge and Nevaeh Ost, both of Mount Vernon. All 3 were pronounced dead at the scene. A fire broke out near downtown Joplin on Saturday. The fire started in a commercial building in the 400 block of East 8th Street. Officials with the Joplin Police Department say there were no injuries. The Joplin Fire Department, Police Department, and METS all responded to the scene. Former White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders appears poised for a gubernatorial run in Arkansas. A source with knowledge of the situation says she's expected to make that announcement today. Sanders served under former President Donald Trump. The current Arkansas Governor, Asa Hutchinson, is reaching his term limit. Kansas lawmakers have sent the governor a bill intended to help bars and restaurants get through the pandemic. Since June, Kansas law has permitted bars and restaurants to provide cocktails to go, but that law would have expired. This bill would allow the sales to continue until March 31st. Currently, more than 30 states allow restaurants and/or bars to sell cocktails to go, bottled spirits to go, or both. Some, including Kansas and Missouri, are considering allowing those sales permanently. We first introduced you to a group a week ago as they were trying to get a chess club started in Pittsburgh, and yesterday was their second meeting. Organizers say they're off to a great start. The group meets at Root Coffee House in Pittsburgh, playing rounds to brush up on their skills and raise their ranks on the competitive level.
I'm in the fanatical camp that chess is a sport. One of the things I keep hearing from my players along Game 4, Game 5, is they will report out how exhausted they are, like they had played a football game. But our current run rate is we're growing at 685% a year. And we're going to bring it back from the dead.
Blair says he remembers the time when chess was on the front page, and they're hopeful to get chess back in the spotlight. A cyclone devastates communities in Southeast Africa. Cyclone Eloise killed at least 12 people as it swept through Mozambique. Aerial footage showed swaths of land in eastern Mozambique submerged in floodwater, with residents and homes stranded in the aftermath. The number of displaced people rose to more than 8,000. Eloise is expected to move towards southwestern Botswana on Tuesday and expected to cause heavy rain. More downpours are also expected in South Africa in the coming days.
Even though it has been downgraded to a tropical storm, it just had a big dam burst at a national park.
Oh.
Yeah, Eloise has been a mess, absolute mess. All right, Tanya, let's take a look at our winter system in the contiguous 48th. It starts at the Rockies right there, presents itself as snow and then a little line of freezing rain before it transitions over into heavy rain. And look at that, lasts all the way to the mid-Atlantic, and we were in the midst of some of that heaviest rain. Now, while it's moved off into central Missouri right there, I went ahead and removed the cloud cover from this layer, so it is still overcast out there, but it makes it much easier to see what rain still remains on the eastern portion of southwest Missouri. And like I said earlier, everybody up to the northwest and far west, not quite done as of yet, but this won't have the lightning or the thunder or the heavy rain like what we had earlier this morning. Kind of lucking out here as far as our lightning goes. Looks like everything has moved east of our highlighted counties. One thing we will not be able to get out of the way of, flash flood warnings. That's the lime green that you see right there, as we've already got Highway CC at the Flat Creek low water crossing. It is underwater. Once again, that's in Berry County in McDowell. Now, our darker green, that's flash flood watch. So you know those low-lying areas that you take to get to work. And let's make sure that we avoid them at all costs, because that yellow that you see kind of all the way around our outer counties right there, that's 2.5 to 3 inches of rain that we've picked up just in the last 24 hours alone. Quieted down from the Freeman Health System sky camera, trying to get a little break in that cloud up there. 46 degrees is where we stand, feels like 41 as the wind has shifted, moving in from the east and doing so at about 20 miles per hour. Now, as that scattered rain out to the west slowly dissipates around the noon hour, we get a little peak of sunshine this afternoon, not a whole lot. But then a cold front moves in. So we get partly sunny skies on Tuesday, but then look at this. Wednesday, we're going to go from thunderstorms to partly sunny to a cold front to snow. Welcome to the end of January. Be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. Larry King, the award-winning journalist who became cable TV's most well-known talk show host, died over the weekend at the age of 87. King hosted Larry King Live on CNN for more than 25 years, interviewed thousands of people in his lifetime. Sunlen Sarfati has a look at his career, which spanned 6 decades.
Larry King spent more than a half a century as a broadcaster.
It's been a hell of a 50 years. I don't know how much longer I can go, but as long as I feel it, I'm going to keep going.
King was born in Brooklyn, New York in 1933 as Larry Ziegler. He moved to Miami in his 20s to pursue a job in radio. He also wrote a column for a local newspaper. In 1978, he started The Larry King Show, a late-night radio program that was eventually syndicated in hundreds of cities.
Good evening. My name is Larry King, and this is the premiere edition of Larry King Live.
King joined a still young all-news cable channel called CNN in 1985, and soon became the face of the struggling network. Over more than 25 years, he interviewed celebrities, politicians, and newsmakers. He was known for his conversational style and for rarely becoming confrontational with guests. He was able to book the biggest names in Hollywood, from Elizabeth Taylor and Frank Sinatra to Al Pacino and Brad Pitt. He famously kissed Marlon Brando.
Goodbye. Goodbye. I've kissed my brother on the cheek, and I've had friends hug me, but he's the only man to ever kiss me on the lips, and I can't stop thinking about him.
The NAFTA debate he moderated between Ross Perot and Al Gore was one of the highest-rated cable shows ever.
How do you stop that without NAFTA?
King brought together Israeli Prime Minister Itzhak Rabin and PLO Chairman Yasser Arafat.
We don't want to divide the city.
And he sat down with past and present American presidents, from Richard Nixon.
Let's set this straight. Did you hate the people who criticized you?
To Barack Obama.
You still like this job?
Oh, this is the best job on earth.
He covered live news events from wars to elections.
Do you think you're going to cost Al Gore the election tonight? Honestly.
No.
Shortly after the September 11th terrorist attacks, he brought his show to New York.
When it comes to describing what I saw earlier this week at Ground Zero, I really cannot find the right words.
King was married 8 times, the last to Sean Southwick. After more than 25 years at CNN, he decided to end his nightly show and only appear in specials for the network. He signed off his final regular broadcast on December 16th, 2010.
I don't know what to say except to you, my audience. Thank you. And And instead of goodbye, how about so long?
No cause of death has been released. However, King's family publicly announced he was in the ICU with COVID-19 at the beginning of the month. We'll be back with how receiving an unsolicited package could end up being a scam.
Stimulus talks have restarted, but the pathway appears bumpy. President Joe Biden's proposal to boost the U.S. economy and efforts to fight the COVID-19 pandemic is forcing some Republican opposition. John Lawrence reports.
Biden waits to see what happens with the plan. He's taking other COVID-related actions, like reinstating international travel restrictions former President Donald Trump moved to ease on his way out the door. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Now, the Biden administration says medical advisors suggested the travel restrictions prior to Biden's inauguration. President Trump signed an executive order lifting such regulations that was supposed to take effect on Tuesday. There have been more than 25 million known COVID-19 cases in the U.S. since the pandemic began, and infections keep rising nationwide. The Joplin Chamber of Commerce announces Amazon will open a new facility in Joplin. A jobs listing from Amazon says the facility will be part TimeFlex roll delivery station located at the Crossroads Industrial Park. According to the listing, they're looking to fill 300 positions. Flexible shifts paying $15 an hour will be available. Applications will be accepted online only. Have you ever gotten a package you didn't order? It could be part of a scam. The Federal Trade Commission and cyber experts have been warning consumers about deliveries known as brushing scams. Here's how they work. Third-party sellers on Amazon, eBay, and other online marketplaces pay people to write fake positive reviews about their products. To be able to post the reviews, now these so-called brushers need to trick the site into making it appear that a legitimate transaction took place. So they'll use a fake account to place orders and address them to a random person whose name and address they find online. Then instead of actually mailing the item for which they want to post a review, the brushers will send a cheap, often lightweight item that costs less to ship. We'll be right back with how Google is helping you find vaccine sites in What the Tech. It's time for What the Tech. Google Maps will soon display locations that offer COVID-19 vaccinations. The feature is rolling out in the coming weeks, beginning in 4 states: Arizona, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas. Google announced searches for vaccines near me have increased 5-fold since the beginning of the year, and it's implementing this feature to ensure it's providing locally relevant answers. The results include details about whether an appointment is required, if the vaccine is only available to certain groups, and if there is a drive-through. SpaceX launches a record number of satellites into orbit. The company's Falcon 9 rocket successfully launched from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida on Sunday. The rocket carried 143 satellite devices to space. That's a record number of satellites ever deployed on a single mission, according to SpaceX. Mission is part of SpaceX's new rideshare business strategy to make regularly scheduled launches carrying batches of small satellites rather than single large payloads. Boeing moves towards having all of its manufactured planes able to fly on sustainable fuels. Boeing CEO and President Dan Deal says it's committed to using 100% sustainable fuels in its jets by the year 2030, noting sustainable fuels are the most measurable and safest solutions to reducing carbon emissions. Boeing joined the Sustainable Aviation Fuel User Group in 2008 to accelerate sustainable fuels use. Sustainable fuels are currently mixed in 50-50 in jet fuel. Apple is reportedly working on a new virtual reality headset. Bloomberg reports the headset will mainly be used as an augmented reality device, like Sony's PlayStation Virtual Reality and Oculus systems. Apple's not saying anything about the project, but tech insiders say the headset will be a high-end niche pair of VR glasses, with a more mainstream version to be released later. The headset would be Apple's first new product type since it released the Apple Watch in 2015. DoorDash is charging some customers more than others. Late last year, some DoorDash users started getting hit with a puzzling new fee just before checkout. Turns out the fees were happening in certain cities where local governments placed limits on how much delivery platforms can charge restaurants. To try to recoup those losses, DoorDash added new customer fees in those cities, which includes Chicago, Denver, Philadelphia, Seattle, and others. Uber Eats also has a similar fee in Portland and plans to add them in over a dozen markets over the next few weeks. Restaurants struggling to make it through the pandemic are fighting back against the commissions, either by looking for alternatives or with new laws.
But it's really no different than if you go to a chain in a larger city, you expect the menu to be more expensive than that same restaurant in a different part of the nation.
That's true.
I understand the questionable ethics behind it, but I can also understand being charged more in a major metropolitan city.
Cost of fuel, cost of everything
Right.
included too.
Cost of doing business. All right, Tanya, here's where we stand with the Skywatch Storm Tracker. Is a kind of double barrel system. We saw last night into this morning move out of Texas through Arkansas in combo with this one, the low pressure that moved on the other side of the Rockies. And now it stretches from the Rockies all the way to the mid-Atlantic with a little east-northeasterly push. And so while this will continue toward the mid-Atlantic, the secondary one will make its way through the Ohio River Valley. And we saw some of the hardest rain associated with this late last night into early this morning. Still holding on to just a little piece of the heavy rain right there for our eastern edge of southwest Missouri. Starting to clear off as far as our lightning goes. On the backside of it, now we're getting into that scattered variety that we're going to have really for the duration of the morning. One thing I do want to point out, that we've been talking about the flash flood warning that lasts all the way to 9:30 with our lone report so far, luckily being Highway CC closed at the Flat Creek Low Water Crossing. That's in Berry County. And that flash flood warning lasts all the way until 9:30. Then surrounding areas, that darker green, we've got a flash flood watch. I mean, there's a good possibility of it happening that lasts all the way until noon. This is outer counties is where we've seen really the majority of the rain. Look at this mess they had down here at the Kansas-Oklahoma state line. Could have been a whole lot worse for us. But you see these yellow patches, that's anywhere from about 2.5 to 3 inches in the last 24 hours alone. Now let's talk about our cloud cover because we're getting a break every now and then, but still mostly overcast start. I saw a little peek of blue sky here just a little bit ago at the Freeman Health System sky camera, but certainly not enough to write home about. 48 degrees, so we were able to bump up 2 degrees in Joplin, 42 in Parsons, 43 in Monette, and 41 in both Fort Scott and Nevada. Now the jet stream is eventually going to take everything, shift it that way, and we're going to get a day of sunshine tomorrow. Temperature's not too bad today, and like I said, tomorrow, after everything clears out and we go scattered variety for Monday afternoon, then we actually get a break on Tuesday, but we got a cold front coming in. It's going to be chilly on Tuesday. Overnight lows down below freezing, and that means that next bout of rain is going to end up being some snow there just in the middle of the week. Be back, wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi plans to send the article of impeachment against former President Trump to the Senate today. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the Senate trial will not start until the week of February 8th. Former President Trump was impeached on an incitement of insurrection charge after the Capitol Hill riot on January 6th. Former White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders appears poised for a gubernatorial run in Arkansas. A source with knowledge of the situation says she's expected to make that announcement today. Sanders served under former President Donald Trump. The Carthage Public Library is set to reopen its doors to the public today at 9 a.m. This library has been closed for 7 months because of the pandemic. Strict guidelines will be put in place to prevent the spread of the virus. Let's check in with Michael with a final look at your forecast.
A look at the Skywatch Storm Tracker. That's where we stand right now. While the thunderstorms have moved off to the east and we're done with the lightning, we're replacing it with scattered rainfall moving in from the west. Certainly won't come down and pound us as hard as what it did late last night into the morning hours. Flash flood warning for southwest Missouri all the way until noon. Going to have to wait until later on this afternoon to get a little peek of sunshine. Remember, cold front drops in, and while tomorrow's pretty seasonable, a little touch below normal temps, Wednesday, we've even got a chance for snow.
Well, this little guy isn't just cute, he's extremely rare. Animal Adventure Park in New York says this red kangaroo is actually white. The park posted about the male Joey on Facebook, saying that he is leucistic, not albino. And that's because he has black eyes, not red eyes typically seen in albinos. The park says it doesn't know of any other kangaroos like this in the U.S. That's pretty cool. So we've had
That's cool.
baby panda and a baby kangaroo this morning. Can't beat that.
I go with the panda. I don't know why. I just thought it was great the way
They
it
don't
was
kick
just
as hard.
clinging on. I want to thank you all so much for letting us put the good in your morning. Be safe out there on the road. We'll be back with more news and weather.
Have a great morning and an even better day.